Good morning, everyone. Well, we're here after Thanksgiving, and we're all wondering all of the things that we're thankful for. Did anybody make a list? Did anybody talk to their family what they're thankful for over the weekend? I'm seeing some heads nodding. Yeah. Well, we were fortunate enough to have three folks from Greene County at the annual Great Game of Business conference in September. Rachel and myself and Angie Cruz. And what we hope to bring is some content back to you all for some of the things that we experienced while at the conference. And last month, we had a presentation leading from the front, Jeff Foltz. And today we're going to have a presentation from John Bazen. And I'm going to tell you up front, it's a little bit somber. There's a little bit of a somber tone to it, but he did a really nice job of bringing together what practicing open book management and the Great Game does, not only for your organization, but for your people, and how participating, how that brings it full circle and brings it back around. So, Alan, if you don't mind, let's hear from John.
The why started for me 18 years ago, and it started in a hospital room. It started with my father, who had heart congestion, ICU, and he had to get a scope put down him, and we both knew that was probably the last time we would talk. So my brother left the room, and I'm the youngest, and my dad called me over to the bed. He said, "You have to promise me two things." He said, "To take care of your mom and to take care of my men." 17 years ago, and it's still hard. Anyway, taking care of my mom was the easy part. His men, he was a servant leader his whole life, and so I said yes to both. So for the next 12 years, I looked for that. What did that be? Because I had to go good on my promise. So I'm a readaholic, and I got a coach and read several business books. Nothing made sense. It was all I. Everything was I. And that's not what he wanted. So my coach gave me the Great Business book, Great Game of Business book, which I read, and it hit exactly what I was looking for, what I was praying for my whole life up to those 12 years. So it was, instead of I, it became we. And that was what I was looking for. And we implemented, and we are a very conservative Dutch area where we live. So showing numbers did not make sense to the other two brothers. And there was a lot of toe-to-toe strife, of yelling and so on. But as they started to look at the purpose and what my father had instilled in us, it all started to make sense to everybody. So we implemented, and it was a lot of work, but it was I always tell everyone, it started as a creek, but we're a raging river now, and it's a stand back and look out. And I'm not the smartest guy. One of my skills is to put great people around me, and we did that, and we are tremendous. So. Well, hello, my name is, that's kind of a downer. I forgot that was all that. My name is John Bazen, and I'm honored to be in your midst today. And just to pull it up just a little bit, Ruby, that was amazing stuff. And if you would go to page 6, you don't have to, I'll read it for you. Bottom of it says appearance. And way over there on the executive level, it says, look is understated. Quality of haircut or hairstyle is extremely important. So they call this the double part art. It's $188 at Zip Clips. So just any of you guys that have a similar hairstyle, go for it. So, well, my story is 9 years ago. I went to my first Great Game conference, the Gathering in St. Louis, Missouri. To say that it opened my eyes to a new way of doing business is a gross understatement. I met a fellow practitioner that day, and he had been playing the game for a while. Me, I was a greenhorn. He sat down at my table and he showed me all his financials on his smartphone. He showed me how his huddle worked, and he sent me an email to my address with all that information. I figured if that was going to happen and that's the way this community operates, I'm all in, and I couldn't wait. So I was leaving the conference and I bumped into Steve Baker, as everyone does, it seems. And I said, "Thank you for the experience." And he said, "John, in the near future, I'm going to have you presenting on the front stage." And I said, "Yeah, when pigs fly. It's never going to happen." Well, it's with a lot of pain. I have to see that Steve Baker was right. Man, that's hard to say. So if you walk out of this room and you walk into the normal business world, they look at numbers way different than we look at them. They look at them for their shareholders. How can they make them more money? Their way to cut costs is to do massive layoffs, to freeze wages, to take away all their outside curriculum, whatever it costs. It's not how we look at it, Great Game. We look at numbers with a forward-looking for our employees, how to share the wealth. That's the way we all roll. We don't look at and keep our employees in the back seat. We involve them with all the business decisions. The video clip you saw in the beginning was the beginning of our journey. And it has really no ending to it. It's a continuous involvement with how this kind of game works and this management principle. I think a lot of practitioners think that, if we implement A and we implement B, we're all done. We can walk away. We're all good to go. That doesn't work this way. It's a journey. It never ends. It keeps evolving. Even the way we do it in our company, we're probably 65 to 70% running, and we have to do better. We know that. But even with that, in the last 8 years, we've increased our PBT 74%, which is fantastic for us. Thank you. It's not me, it's them. It's the whole team. So we continue to hard to work to keep more engaged, and we want to keep getting better at the PBT and for sure get better at the Great Game. When we first started this whole journey, my brother was the CFO, and if you knew him, this fits. But he said PBT stood for Poor Bazen Totals. Well, he don't say that anymore. So, anyway, about 9 months ago, I was diagnosed with follicular lymphoma. I'm doing well now. I'm in full remission, and I'm feeling great. Thanks. Anyway, my first infusion was disastrous. I had an incredible reaction. I got a blood disease in my body, and a blood infection, throughout my whole body. I was admitted into the hospital. I was there for 19 hours in ER on a bed that I think was that thick. My back was just killing me. But they could not find anything to fix it. There was nothing. And they kept going all these different drugs. And I was really scared. My wife was really scared. The doctors were going in and out of the room, and they wouldn't say a lot. They would just look at my numbers. And my numbers went through the floor. My white blood cells was 0.05. I had no immunity system. And really at that point, we didn't see any way I was coming back out. So it was scary. So there's a lot of prayer going on, of course, and we finally found an antidote that would work, and I was admitted into the hospital. With God's grace and mercy, I walked out days later. But with the onset of this, there was no time for transition planning with the team. I virtually was out of communication with the office for the first month. I had just an occasional email, a Zoom call, and the next 4 months were that way. And the reason for that is because of that infection, my oncologist said, you are not going back to work for 5 months. All my infusions, that's how long it was going to take for the treatments. So I was virtually out of all operations and very little communication with the team. So what happened? Well, the project manager duties that I had were taken over by the executive team and other team members. And I received Huller reports weekly so I could check the financials and the KPIs to see that we were doing great. And we beat our projected second quarter bonus by 2 levels. So that, my friends, is the power of great game. It's incredible. There was no panic because the team understood the numbers. So they didn't worry. They knew where they were. They knew the roadmap in which we were to follow. But let's pause here a minute. I'd like to ask a question to this whole crowd. Today is Thursday, tomorrow morning, could you walk away from your business for 5 months with little or no communication? And what would it look like in 5 months? Would it be there to look at? How sound are you? So I would definitely take a check at yourself and see what's going on. So what was wonderful for us, it did work out, so I could concentrate with my wife and myself on my lymphoma and the treatments, and we got through it. That was great. We are like puzzle kings and queens. We've done every puzzle, I think, in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So, and I don't know if I'll ever do a puzzle again. I don't like it. So I have one more reason that we chose the Great Game platform. And that's something I don't think the Great Game people take good enough credit for. And that's the creation of the community. You look out right now and see this room with all these owners all present, hundreds of us. And there's nowhere that I know that a management like this program comes together under one roof with like minds, self-aligned. It's wonderful. And I know a lot of you are here because you bought a ticket, but there's a lot of us here that you go to all the sessions and the classes, and they're wonderful, and you get a lot of golden nuggets. But again, there's a lot of us here. We're just plain like to help people achieve success. We walk around the halls, we sit in the sessions, and we listen to people that, hey, I got a problem. When we overhear, we have a really good hearing ears. And all we want to do is help these people to achieve success. It gives us goosebumps. It's what makes us tick. So that's what we're all here for, and I don't think you find that in a lot of places. So when you do the symptoms correctly, it reflects your financial results. The first year we did this game, we were barely getting started. We increased our profit 17%. Over the past 5 years, we're a level 8 bonus. We're averaging that out of 10 for 5 years. It's helped my 2 brothers with their exit planning and retirement, and it is starting to help me with my exit planning and my next phase of my life. For the first time, we're going to have a president that's going to be a non-family member. That's never happened in the 62 years of our business. It's always been family. And I'm 100% confident that the executive team and the next generation, they're going to follow my dad's footsteps and his wishes and take care of his men. In closing, I'd just like to say thank you to a few people that have helped me a lot. To Steve Baker and Rich Armstrong, you guys introduced me to Great Game. You excited the passion. Thank you so much. I wouldn't be here today without you. To Michelle Bridges, my great friend. She taught us financial literacy, and she brought huge excitement of business and passion to our crew. We're all grumpy electricians. It's hard to make people excited about numbers, but she did it. She's a miracle worker. And finally, to Dave Skolton, my coach, who is really sweating right now because I have an open mic and he has no idea what I'm going to say about him. But see, Dave, I got another session with you later this morning that I don't have to be nice. I'll save it for that. But Dave is a true friend, and he put us out of our comfort zone. And unlike a lot of businesses, he walked beside us down valleys, through the swamps, around the pitfalls, but he never left our side the entire time. And Dave, you are a big part of why Bazen Electric is still successful, is so successful today. So we appreciate it, friend. You're a great friend, and I would walk anywhere with you. It kind of sounded like a Hallmark moment, didn't it? Don't get too crazy about that, Dave. Anyway, in closing, I'd also like to thank Jack Stack, whose vision made this room a reality. He has brought a lot of us to a new purpose in life, and I really appreciate that, bringing the frustrations of our employees without this to bear. Jack, I know you're frustrated. Not a lot of businesses play this great game, but I would like to go on record right now, as long as I'm able, I'll hold that great banner high, and I will continue to tell anyone anywhere on how it works and who it is. Just tell me where and where. Ladies and gentlemen, the two hardest things for people to say is Worcester sauce and I need help. Use your Great Game community where you can. We're all here for you. Please help and use us. So in closing, I'd like, in the beginning of the video clip, I talked about senior. I'd like to introduce them, if I could, on the video screen. That's my dad and my best friend. If he were up here today with me, I would say, hey, Dad, you know those two questions you talked about in the hospital? Yes, we're still taking care of Mom. She's 91 now. Her muffler's kind of broken, but we still love her. And yes, Dad, we're taking care of your men. But a funny thing happened. I went down with five for 5 months in treatment. I couldn't be in the office. And Dad, this time, our women and men took care of me. Thank you.
Well, I did warn you. It was a little somber. But what message was John trying to portray? What was he trying to share with the audience? Was there anything that said, I hadn't thought about that? Or I wonder what that means. Any feedback? Penny?
Any business is bigger than just one person, and it takes the collective to succeed.
Yeah, he kind of nailed that, Penny. At the end, it takes the team when you're charged with taking care of your men, and your men and women take care of you.
I also thought unity, but as well transparency, because you have to communicate and be totally transparent so the team is comfortable and putting their all in.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing.
It is a huge thing, having unity and transparency with the team. I know the aha moment when I was sitting in the crowd was that question that he posed to everybody. Could you walk away for 5 months? with very little communication to the team. And the success of the leadership and the team coming together was the answer was yes. The team picked it up. They knew what to do. They understood the numbers because of the transparency. So nobody really wants to be in that position, and you never plan for it. It is not planned. It happens. Life happens. And so it was just one of those stories that could tell us if we've developed a team and we've done something similar, then the team will carry us. And I don't know if any of you are football fans, but there's been a lot of football over the last few days, and some of them were just astronomical blowouts, Mizzou, Arkansas, and some of them were just back and forth like last night, low scoring, and whoever's got the ball at the end may win or not, you know. But everybody's part of the team. Everybody has to be a part of that scoring. Alan, I know you've listened to this video now a couple of times getting ready for today. What did you have any specific takeaways from his message?
Just, I think, the importance of, like they said, like the transparency, making sure that everyone has. So, I mean, the company's bigger than any one person.
Yeah, it sounds like we've got a pretty common theme. It's not just one person; it's the team, and the team is the power behind the organization. Um, a couple of things I noted down. There's a community of sharing and information and tools involving the employees to the greatest extent. It's not me, it's a team. He kept saying, it's not me, it's not I, it's a team. There's no panic. Everyone knows the numbers. There's no panic. I can remember an example of, and Justin maybe remember this as well, when the pandemic hit that March, we collectively as a county thought, boy, we're going to be devastated. Sales tax is going to bottom out, and it's going to be really, really challenging for the county and all our constituents. And I can remember that the budget office called a meeting together, the finance team, which is budget, treasurer, auditor, and the commissioner and county administrator. And I went into that meeting thinking, doom and gloom, this is going to be awful. We're going to do projections that are really going to cut our services, and it's going to be really, really bad. I went into that meeting knowing how bad it was going to be. And we met in this room. Justin, you remember. We sat in here, and everybody had an idea. Everybody had a nugget. Everybody brought something to the table. And when we got out of the meeting, it was like, it's not as bad as we thought it was going to be, because everybody knew what their role was. They had something to contribute. And so actually I was enlightened when we got out of the meeting, instead of, well, the sky is falling and everything's coming to an end. It was like, no, people don't have to be told. People already know what the numbers are. They know what we can do. There's a plan. So that's the power of the great game, and knowing the numbers and the transparency of those numbers, and having your team involved and making sure your team, really participates and understands. Yes.
I think also the consistency having been in place that brought you guys to everybody already knew the numbers and things was really beneficial as far as trusting and keeping things going, because had it been that they had just started this system,
right,
and he had to be out right away, it might not have flown as smoothly.
Yeah.
But there was years under their belt of it, and everybody had really built that bond, and everybody had really got into it, versus then he got sick.
Yeah.
He was able to really have that.
And you bring up an excellent point.
Yeah.
In that trust was the foundation for the success, because everyone trusted each other. They'd been in it, they'd done it. We're not waiting for a trauma or a tragedy to occur, but if one does, we know how to react because we trust each other. So thank you for bringing up that point, because trust was critical, was really critical.
I think it's also willingness, because, you know, at the end, he spent his time thanking people who were willing to step in and do that. And you're right, they have to know what they're doing, because that's the instinctive, but they have to have the willingness and the drive and the ability to step in, right?
Yeah, you guys are about the cream of the crop this morning. You guys get it. You're here, you understand it, you get it. So that willingness, you gotta wanna. My favorite, one of the top 10 is you gotta wanna. I'm sorry, that is my favorite. But yeah, you've got to have that willingness, that desire. And it's not about you, it's about I need to help my teammate. My teammate needs help. We need to lift the all waters rise and the ship rises. We need to do that. Yes.
I think what drives that willingness and that wanna and that wanting to be a part is the fact that he made them all feel invested. They were all an equal part. They didn't feel like there were big eyes and little U's. They were all, didn't matter your job, you're all on the same plane. You're all invested, you're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
And with that environment that bred the want.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's not a big I, little you. It's we're all on equal playing field, and it takes all of us. Yeah. Any other feedback? Did you think the video was worth showing? I debated because it was a little bit heavy, but the message behind it really spoke to me. And so I wanted to share it with you all. So thank you all for coming and participating, and we'll see you next week.